Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Welcome back to the Parasite Files, the Southgate Media Group podcast dedicated to the hit show Heroes, and also every now and then we take a look forward at Heroes Reborn until whenever they decide to come out.
Yes, whenever. They could at least give us a premiere date, but yes, who knows? They'll probably change it on us again.
I wouldn't mind it, actually. Up for discussion today is episode 118, Parasite. It was written by Christopher Zada and directed by Kevin Bray. It's a lot to say about this episode, but I'll save it. Right now, I guess we'll just do the synopsis.
Peter and Isaac each deal with the aftermath of Simone's death. The Haitians' attempt to lead Claire to safety takes an unexpected turn. As Jessica seeks to complete another assignment for Mr. Linderman, Nikki begins to assert herself. Hero's quest for the sword reaches its conclusion. Nathan Petrelli's relationship with Mr. Linderman comes to a head as they meet face to face. Mr. Bennett has to stay one step ahead of the company. Mohinder is forced to choose between revenge and research. Sila and Peter meet for a second time.
Start with Peter looking at Simone, and Isaac tells him that it was supposed to be Peter that he shot. And Isaac's like, is there anything you can do? And Peter's like, she's dead, man.
He doesn't even try.
on the bed, like all nonchalantly. And then Isaac picks up the gun and blames Peter, even though she tried to give that key back 1 billion times. I can't believe we're still stuck on this. Like, after such a good episode, we're just like, oh, Peter and Isaac arguing over Simone's dead body. No, thank you.
And for someone who Peter claims to love from the first time he ever saw her, he's kind of like over it pretty quickly, isn't he?
He's like, he disappears and leaves. He's like, I'm out of here. This is enough. Cut to Vegas, and Hiro tries to enter the casino, and then the security's like, nah, son, you're banned. And then he's like, I was invited by Mr. Linderman. And they throw him out of the casino anyway. And then he tells the large guard that threw him out that bigger people have tried to stop him, and he'll find a way to get inside. And I'm like, you don't say that, Hiro! Meanwhile, back at Primatech, Thompson asks Bennett if he remembers anything about what happens. Of course, he says he doesn't remember what happened after he was driving his wife home from the hospital. Thompson runs through the events that happened, and he, like, kind of suspiciously asks Mr. Bennett if he were, like, you know what I'm saying? He was just like, are you sure? And he's like, I don't care if you believe me or not. And then he's like, he's going to go find Claire, and then Thompson tells Mr. Bennett, oh, no, the Haitian and all this other stuff's too suspicious. Then Thompson orders Mr. Bennett to detach himself from Claire, and Mr. Bennett asks if Thompson expects him to do nothing, not to do anything, and Thompson's like, I expect you to do as you're told, and then he leaves and enters a room where there's a one-way mirror being used, and of course, it's Mr. Parkman, who is bound to the chair. And then Matt tells Thompson that Mr. Bennett is telling the truth. Thompson and Candace go to leave the room, and he's like, okay, you said you'd let me go if I helped. And they just kind of zip right on off. And then,
after the great work that Parkman was doing in the last episode, he's stepped on again.
Beat up, it's step on Parkman. That's
I know, right? I think they had a really interesting thing, like, to bring, if they had brought Parkman in, it would have been a really good idea, but I'm glad they went the way they went with it in season 2 and stuff like that. So yeah, I
agree. Then we cut to somewhere along Route 290. The Haitian points out that Claire hasn't said anything all day. Claire tells him that it doesn't matter since he's not telling her where they're going anyway. Then he's like, that as soon as he knows where they're going, he'll tell her. Claire's like, when am I going to be able to go home? And he's like, are you stupid or something?
It seems like Matt and Ted, the episode before, who were just winging it. That's what the Haitian seems to be doing at this point. And it seems like ever since he's gained the power to talk, he's kind of I want to say not as cool, but he's not as calm and collected, and he doesn't seem as much of a badass as he did before, if you get me. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I totally do. But I think it's what it is that, like, basically at the end of the day, and they're getting so close to that goal of reuniting that he's just, like, winging it, because this is not supposed to happen like this. So he's just out of his element. But anyway, so, like, he tells her that her father sacrificed a lot for her and that he wants her to live. So then he gets out of the car and he, like, goes to a nearby payphone and he calls and they're talking in French. And Claire's like, can I go home now? He's like, no, we gotta leave the country. That was kind of considering that he's Haitian, I was like, I know just a little bit of French. Spanish is better for me, but I was just like, that's kind of a weird Frenchy French. Not necessarily Haitian. But anyway, two FBI agents arrive at Nathan Petrelli's office and tell them they want to speak to him about the illegal campaign contributions from the Linderman group. And I'm like, uh-oh, that's not good. The agents close all the blinds, sweep the room for recording devices, and then they ask by Mr. Linderman's group based in Las Vegas who would be helping a New York politician, and he's like, duh, my dad was an attorney. Aren't you the FBI? Shouldn't you know that? And then the agent finishes sweeping and he's like, it's all clear, we're free to speak. And Nathan's like, dude, you're not supposed to be here. And then they were like, you agreed that you would deliver Mr. Linderman to us. And Nathan's like, he can't know that I'm working out with you. No, but he has requested a meeting with me. And they're like, why? And he's like, I'm still 4 points behind the polls. And, maybe he'll tell me how he'll help me win. And they're like, all right, fine. Nathan, calm, cool, collected, shoos them on out.
I like this part of Nathan. It harks back to like 6 months ago when he was about to turn tail on his dad and help and try and take down his dad and Mr. Linderman. And it kind of seems like it's been going on. He mentions he's been doing it since Heidi injured. And at this point, I kind of ask myself, like, does that negate like all the bad stuff he's done? Like getting with Nikki, is that part of a bigger plan, or was he just,
No, he's just a jerk on man.
Getting...
I mean, our heroes are allowed to have flaws, obviously.
Yeah, but it shows that he's kind of like a good guy still deep down underneath. At this point, anyway, that wants to take down a big mob boss. But
I love how they're like, yeah, you're going to need to wear this recording device. He's like, I ain't wearing no sneaking recording device. He's trying to get me, the plastic mob guy. You're trying to get me killed.
Like, I ain't no snitch.
Basically.
But yeah.
So, he tells Nathan, then Peter kind of comes in after all that is going on.
He's there the whole time, and he hasn't seemed to have washed since Simone died because he still has the blood on. Yeah, so he tells him, Isaac shot her, and he's like, call the police, and then Peter's like, I don't know what to do, and Nathan's like, don't do anything. You've done enough. And then the door knocks. His Diggle's brother asks him if tells him he has to go, and in that space of turning around, Peter is invisibled up and left the room like a petulant child.
He's like, there's a cure. And Luke's like, I'm not having any of that talk.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mr. Bennett, then we kind of cut to Mr. Bennett returning to his hotel room. And Mrs. Bennett's like, oh yeah, there's a flood in our basement the flood in their basement has turned into a good vacation for them. And luckily Claire's off at cheerleading retreat. Mr. Bennett tells her that he needs to take a trip and that he'll return as soon as he can. And then Mrs. Bennett walks up to him and turns on the radio. And then beneath the music, she whispers and tells him that he can't go. And he goes, why are you whispering? And she's like, because you told me the day before to do this. She's like, she told me to pretend I didn't remember anything happened, and that he told her everything about who he is, who he works for, and what happened to Claire. And then he asks if she knows what Claire is, but she says she doesn't. She just knows that he was protecting her and to give him a message. He left in case he ever tried to go after.
I don't know how I felt about this, but yeah, it's a decent, yeah.
I got mad at first.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, he's keeping secrets from her at this point? Until that whole reveal. And then another reveal is really weird. Because she hands him a message that says Claire is safe and not to go after her. And then he goes, nobody can know about this. And she tells him she knows how to play dumb. And then there's a knock at the door, and it's Candace.
Just wearing the shortest skirt known to man as a paper salesman. Yeah, it's really weird attire, but yes.
Candace tells him that Isaac tried to reach out to him about a situation with Simone. Even that stretches, like, I was like, you really interrupt a good HRG scene with Isaac and Simone mess? Really? Anyway, back at Mohinder's apartment, Siler is still impersonating Zane Taylor, and he's looking over the list, and Mohinder tells him that he wants to run Siler's DNA sample against Chandra's formula. Mohinder explains that he doesn't know what the formula is looking for exactly. This was a little painful.
Yeah.
Siler asks if his DNA helped at all, but Mohinder tells him it didn't. Siler suggests that he takes a break since he's been driving all night, but Mohinder says that they need to be, that the specials need to be warned about Siler quickly. Siler takes a post-it off the map with Isaac Mendez's name on it and offers to call him for Mohinder. Of course, Isaac. Siler tells Mohinder that he used to feel very alone, but that Mohinder has given him hope. And then Siler tries to call Isaac, but the line is busy.
Yup.
Mohinder hands Siler a cup of tea, and Siler offers a toast to new friends. And they're like, who are we gonna call next, buddy? And he's like, we're not calling anyone, because I've already found who I'm looking for. And Mohinder tells him that he knows who he is. And Siler drops the cup of tea. I'm like, yes! 4-1 for Mohinder, finally!
Yeah, he seems really sinister at that point, doesn't he? When he's like, I found you.
Perhaps the hunted has become the hunted! Anyway, then we cut to Nathan arriving in Las Vegas, and then he finds Hiro, of course, Flying Man!
Oh, yes! Oh, man, the friggin' Peter, Nathan and Hiro ship, seriously, they were so good together. It's like the straight man and the big child. It's a great little ship that they've got going on. And these, like, anytime they meet, it's friggin' gold. But
it really is. And then he like, of course, he yells "Fine Man," and Nathan's like, shh. Nathan asks if Hiro's still trying to steal the sword, and he's like, "Where's Ando?" And Hiro's like, he sent Ando home because it was getting too dangerous. And like, Nathan, like, just really relates to Hiro in this really odd, unexpected way.
Yeah, because it's them trying to look after the people they love and knowing that they have to do it alone. And it's how, it's a lonely journey being a quote unquote hero. But yeah, it's a really nice scene.
It really is. And then, like, so Nathan helps Hiro out, and he tells the security guard that Hiro is making a delivery from him to Mr. Linderman, and you better not keep Mr. Linderman waiting.
Exactly.
And so they actually, like, fall for it.
Yeah.
And they take him to the curator, who was creepy.
I know. And very sassy, but yeah.
Every curator is kind of sassy. Then back at the airport in Texas, Claire complains about her new identity she's been given. And the Haitian's like, I don't care if you're happy, only if you're safe. She complains that once she gets on the plane, everything she knows and loves will disappear. She's like, there's no one left here for you to trust. And you can't see Peter Petrelli. Like, Jesus, stop asking about him. It's creepy, little girl. It's your freaking uncle.
I know, right? And I don't know why she doesn't seem to trust the Haitian at this point. Like, obviously, he's just doing what he's following orders, but he also should, like, have her trust because, he didn't erase her memories, and whenever she's called for him, he's come to help her, and it just feels a bit petulant child and a bit like, I want this, I want that.
How did she get the drop on him, though? Like, she took his passport? I'm like, really?
Like we said, it's like Samson's hair. As soon as he's able to speak, he has lost all his mystique and all his powers.
But I did like it. She just kind of dumps it in the trash and keeps on walking, and I'm like, oh, that's nice.
And makes it over to New York in a seemingly record time, but yes.
Maybe she can fly too secretly.
I know, right? But it's not just that she gets there first. Like, it's just that the Haitian obviously gets there before her. But yeah, enough about that. But yeah.
Yeah, for right now anyway.
Yeah.
Then we cut to Isaac's apartment. Ugh. And the police knock on the door, and he answers it, and they're like, have you seen her? Isaac's like, we broke up, and she totally gave back the key, so why would she be here? And they go, we got an anonymous call, she may be injured. And they're like, can we, look around? And then Simone shows up at the door, and is like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And the police are like, okay, my mistake, we're gonna leave. And then Isaac's like, wait, what? You're alive?
Yeah.
And then Mr. Bennett shows up.
And he's just back to business. He's back to business Bennett, as I called him on Twitter. Yeah.
Back to business Bennett. I love it. Then Candace drops her illusion, revealing she's not really Simone. And then we see her dead body on the bed. And Isaac's like, I can't handle this.
Oh, poor Isaac going through the ringer.
And then he's like, Mr. Bennett gives him the crap. He just says, yeah, Simone is traveling to Europe indefinitely.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah,
Well, I guess, her father was dying.
I know, right?
And Peter's over her. So, nobody, he knows she's dead. So I guess nobody's going to
It's just that one comment is enough for everyone to believe. But yeah, it's true. I don't think anyone was crying over spilt milk when she died. And I think most people, when she turned up, were like, oh no.
And then, Candace just really gets off on using her powers. She's kind of like, how Eden was before she joined I thought that they would have browbeat that arrogance right out of her, but apparently they didn't.
Yeah, but they did say that she's new, so maybe that's the case.
So anyway, Isaac tells Mr. Bennett he doesn't know what to do. And Bennett's like, keep painting you fucking idiot. Cut to Jessica and Micah playing the video game. Jessica asks Micah if he wants to play another game. But he's like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to miss. He's like, I need to leave. I don't want to miss my bus. And she's like, you won't learn anything at that school that you don't already know. And then Jessica speaks to Nikki in the mirror and tells her that she is a better Nikki than Nikki is. I'm like, well, she's not wrong.
Yeah.
Just saying. If she wasn't such a homicidal maniac.
Exactly.
She would be way better. Then DL enters the room and shows her a picture of Nathan Petrelli, which he said...
Which I'm sure is actually Adrian Padzar's original, headshot photo.
Oh my god, I know. He found it on the pillow, and she's like, I didn't put it there. Then he's like, we're not supposed to have secrets. And he's like, what is Mr. Linderman having you do? And she's like, nothing, he just called and asked for her to be a dealer. And
he's like, dealing what? He basically just, insinuates that she's going to be a prostitute again at this point, I'm sure. But, and then she kisses him and he's all good with it. Well, not obviously, because he turns away, and that's when you get he changes his smile to his normal blank stare.
The revenge smirk of death. Do you watch Revenge? That's the revenge smirk of death.
It just reminds me of first meeting of DL, where he's just kind of blank starey, walking away kind of thing. But yeah, it's good to know that he's not an idiot at this point, and he kind of is recognizing that something's not cool.
But you know what? Like I said, I like Jessica for the action. But it is kind of good that Nikki's coming back to the forefront, because it's just getting brutal that nobody noticed for this long. Anyway, we catch up to Siler, who's waking up and points out he can't feel his fingers. And Mohinder's like, yeah, that Kakari paralyzed the brain, so you can't use your abilities. It's like, you got the wrong man. And he goes, no, I don't. Oh, he calls him a parasite, thus the name of the
yeah, they like working that in a couple of times, but yeah.
He takes out a tuning fork and taps it. And Tyler just loses it because he just stole that enhanced hearing, for those of us that might have forgotten.
Yes. See, I don't know. Did we talk about this last week? About how, a couple of episodes ago, where I always thought that he had complete control of the powers and he could work them. So this kind of didn't make sense to me at the time. I'm sure I thought she should be able to control it. It shouldn't affect as much as making it. But then obviously we get another friggin' reveal later on. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, we did talk about that a couple episodes ago. But yeah, I kind of agree with you, but at the same time, it's like, sometimes Tyler doesn't come off as smart as he wants to be.
I suppose, yeah.
So the thing about it is that Mohinder tells Tyler there's only one thing to do with the parasite, and it's to kill it before it kills anymore. And he grabs a gun from the desk, and I'm like, oh, snaps.
Yeah, he's gonna do what Noah Bennett should have done earlier. But yeah, he doesn't.
And then Mohinder's like, I'm a scientist, and Siler laughs, and he says, yeah, your dad used to say that too. Despite continuing to lead Siler to his victims, Mohinder tells Siler that his father didn't know that Siler was a murderer. And he's like, yeah, he knew, but he didn't stop because we were making so much progress. Yeah. And you kind of wonder.
Yeah.
You can kind of see that in Chandra, just a little bit.
Yeah, he just wants to get his research. He doesn't want to be labeled as a madman, and if it means taking on a homicidal maniac as your sidekick, as your patient zero, then all the best to you. But you are dead, so that kind of says where everything needs to be said. But yeah.
Yeah, and then Siler just really tries to turn the knife, and he tells him, yeah, your father confided in me for everything, unlike you.
Yes.
He had enough.
He mentions his sister at one point, and yeah, he proper goes for it at this point.
And then he says that his father identified him as patient zero, and that Siler might be the key to figuring out the formula. Mohinder takes a large syringe and tells Siler that he's going to take a couple of samples of his spinal fluid, and that it's going to hurt.
Yes.
I was like, oh my god, this got kinky for no reason. I'm pretty sure there's probably some slash fics out there about those two.
More than likely. It did go crazy on the live tweeting at this point about this inevitable about this pairing. So yeah, there's got to be some out there.
So we cut to Hiro, who's at the Linderman Museum, and he hands the painting over, and he's like, excuse me, this is ripped and put back together with Scotch tape. And then Hiro's like, a receipt for the delivery.
Yeah, Recito.
I was lost in that, and then the curator leaves the room, and Hiro searches the computer for the sword. He finds it, and it opens in the wall.
Let's just say this, he finds it in what seems like record time, and that is the end of that. Like, literally, he searches, it's like he Google searches the sword, finds a number, goes up a ladder, and that's it. Like, there's no, like, everything is just so convenient for this part, but yeah.
Convenient plot points are convenient in Hiro.
Yes.
Goes. But then, like, he takes the curator returns and tells Hiro that there are 754 security guards in the hotel with instructions to come immediately if he pushes this button. And then he pushes it, and the security guards arrive.
And it is...
Oh no! Who knocked out
Exactly.
the curator? And then he's like, what about the other 753?
Uh-oh.
That was so great. That was also a little convenient, but anyway.
Yes.
At the casino, Nathan speaks into his wire. The FBI are kind of watching him, and they're like, your meeting's in an hour, we gotta set this up. And then Jessica kills him.
With the best explanation of heroes, I think, ever. Why would you surveil someone in their own hotel? I thought it was genius at this point. I thought that was great.
You would think that the FBI would take them out, but apparently not. This is the following.
You know, it's the following, exactly.
So cut to Mohinder, who makes a breakthrough and finds 4 separate genes responsible for special abilities.
Yep.
With the new information, he thinks he can create a new list and save the members of the list. Siler asks him if he shouldn't be saved as well. And he's like, I'm just a victim. He's like, I want the salvation. Then he starts like, lose it. I want that list.
It's something to sink his teeth into.
Okay, yeah. And here's the crazy man coming all the way out.
He's just evil villain again, and there's no relation as to why. Like, even if they just put a throwaway line in that, like, you know, all the powers that he's been collecting have been messing with his mind, it would have been fine. I would have been fine with that, but it's just kind of like every now and then he just goes mental for powers. But yeah,
cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Exactly.
Silly kid. Powers are for specials that aren't evil. Anyway, so like it's really, I like this line where Mohinder tells Siler that what he's done is murder and that what he's getting ready to do is revenge, and then he straight up shoots Siler, and I'm like, yes, new villain. But no, the bullet stops because Siler uses his telekinetic abilities before it reaches him. I just lose my crap.
Yes.
So he, like, Siler just gets all, like, starts removing stuff and points out that Mohinder was so determined that he didn't even notice Siler stopped the IV. And he's like, he tells Mohinder that he might do something good before he dies or whatever.
Yeah, he basically throws Mohinder's line back at him at this point. He says, maybe you'll be useful before I kill you or something like that. And yeah.
So then we cut to Isaac looking through some old sketches. And then he finds, like, on the wall, hidden behind it, a hollow book with drug paraphernalia inside.
Yep, and he goes back to it.
Well,
yep.
Way to go, buddy. Way to go. She died for nothing. Awesome.
Yes.
Well, you know, not for nothing, because she's annoying as hell, but still.
It just gets bogged down, like, seriously, don't like. He's a good character at times, but then this one just kind of backtracks everything at this point. And I understand, he loves Simone and he killed her, so that's why he's gone back to the drugs. But apart from that, like, that's all we know about him. He loves Simone and he has this power, and he loves his he loves his drugs and he loves Simone. There was that one point in the show where he was talking about trying to save New York, and he was trying to do his best to do it, even like going back to Noah Bennett, someone who had captured him previously and helped him, like, try and use his powers.
But that was out of petty jealousy too, though. At the same time,
I suppose, yeah. So he's just kind of, that all goes out the window. Yeah, you can't really sympathize at this point. You can't really sympathize with him, and yeah, he goes off on one again. But yeah,
he's on two at this point. But
exactly, yeah.
Anyway, I liked the actor who played Isaac, but I always I don't know. I feel like I always knew that this character was going to get shortchanged because I figured they weren't going to deviate too far from the original pilot.
Yeah.
So, and we started learning that you really actually can't change the past that much. So I just kind of got disinterested in the character.
Yeah.
And so did the writers. Then we cut to Nathan, who arrives in the room to find Nikki, and she's got a gun. And then she pulls the wire off.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know how much time we have before Jessica comes back. And he's like, what? And she's like, Linderman knows about the FBI and the wire. And Nathan's like, they can hear our conversation. She's like, nah, son, they're dead. And Linderman knows that you turned on him. But apparently it is, so whatever. Anyway, Mr. Bennett returns to the hotel and is greeted by, quote-unquote, Mrs. Bennett. She tells him that she convinced the hotel to let Mr. Muggle stay in the room. And I'm like, well, that is a Sandra thing to do.
I know, it's a really nice scene between them, especially the bit at the end where he says something like, I didn't think I could ever talk to you about stuff like this. And it's just heartbreaking when the reveal happens. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, she turns on the water and she's like, she thinks she's being paranoid recently, thinking people are watching her and waiting for her to slip up. She asks him if he found her. He tells her that he can't, or else they'll be able to extract the information from him and Claire. He tells her that they have to keep pretending that they don't know what happened to Claire, so they should be safe. And he tells her the company has to be stopped. And then the phone. And Mrs. Bennett picks up the phone. And she returns and tells the other party that he's gonna be a problem. And guess who it is? It's freaking Kim.
How badass do you think it would have been if Sandra Bennett was actually like a company agent?
That would have been awesome. Anyway, we cut to Hiro, who takes the sword from the display and shouts.
He says, I did it. In English, that's what he says. He goes, yeah, yatta! Sorry, I don't know why I made that sound so weird, but yeah.
Ando tells Hiro not to worry about him and to just teleport them out of it and teleport himself out. Of course, he refuses. He's like, we're both going. And then he does it. He teleports.
All he needs is confidence. That's all he needs. He doesn't need a sword.
It's the Dumbo feather. Told you. Oh, they teleport to the DeVoe building rooftop in the future and observe skyscrapers being rebuilt. And then he's like, we didn't stop the explosion. And I was like, oh, God. It's just, Anyway. Claire arrives at Peter Pacelli's apartment, knocks on the door, and guess who answers it? Finally, I can talk about this. Mama Pacelli! And Claire asks Peter if this is Peter's address, and she's like, yeah, but he's not here right now, but you can come in. And then the Haitian is also waiting, and they speak to each other in French. Do you know what they say here? And then Claire asks her who she is, and she's like, I'm your grandmother, and I've been trying to protect you. And then she's like, you're quite stubborn, just like your father.
Yay!
And then, so we cut to Nikki explaining to Nathan that Mr. Linderman hired Jessica to kill the FBI agents and keep him under control. She's like, he's gonna offer you a deal, you better freaking accept it. And then he gets all weird and reluctant, and she's like, you can run, but I wouldn't do that. There's a third option. You can kill Mr. Linderman. And she gives him the gun. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So then Nathan doesn't understand, but at Nikki's like, dude, just come on. And
just do it.
I was like, oh, I wish that was me. That was so good. It's almost as good as Peter getting punched in the face.
I know, right?
Anyway, Nathan is escorted down to the kitchen where he meets Mr. Linderman, and I'm like, this dude is Mr. Linderman?
I know, right?
This dude?
I don't know. I kind of like it. It's
No, I do too. Malcolm McDowell. Like, I was like, son
Especially after Eric Roberts, the episode before, you get Malcolm McDowell here. It was genius.
Like, how are you getting these
I know, right?
He's preparing a pot pie. I'm just like, what the hell? Who even eats a pot pie? That isn't English, because that's all you guys like, shepherd pie and all that.
Yes.
That's it.
But no, I like his portrayal as Mr. Linderman, because the whole while, like, obviously Mr. Linderman's been built up for like the whole season, and he's got like some he's got a
Big.
yeah, he's got big, and obviously just with Malcolm McDowell, he does, and rather than being this like little gangster who's just like a bit grubby, he's this articulate man who just seems to like be one step ahead of everything. He's kind of like just really, really like really thoughtful, and he's just like playing a game of chess. Yeah,
I like the little philosophy lesson he gives him.
Yeah.
A man has to pick between a life of happiness and a life of meaning, and you can't have both. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
And then Nathan pulls out the gun, and he's like, well, now you can't have any of my pie. Just like, what? Oh my god, this is great. He goes, Mr. Lynn's like, you can pull the trigger and then we can both die. Or he could offer Nathan something. He's like, there are things that he knows, such as about, Nathan's ability to fly, Peter's problem. And he's like, you're going to win the election. And then, through a freak accident, 2 years later, you're going to find yourself in the White House.
And
Nathan's like, I'm listening.
I know, right? He just brings Nathan round so easily. And he knows how to he's like he's got him on his strings there. He's just like, yes, you're my puppet now.
That was so perfect. He goes, okay. He like lowers the gun. I'm listening. And then we, in our final scene, we see Peter enter Mohinder's apartment looking for him. He calls out, gets no answer. And then the classic, feels the blood drip, looks up, finds Mohinder attached to the ceiling. Then he
Siler.
Peter turns around to find Siler. Siler's like, I remember you. And then he like throws him up against the wall. And he's like, you're like me. And I want to see how that works. And then like we see like a little bit of like blood in that little stupid curly loop.
And the bang falls.
Yes! Finally, Siler's done something great. And that's where we kind of end the episode for right now.
Yeah.
I think that was a great section.
It was a great.
The two people, in an immovable object and an unstoppable force, two sides.
Yeah, it was a great little ending. I think, is this where, do they have a break? They must have had a break here at this point. I don't know how I felt about this episode. How do you, like, grade, not even grade-wise, like, it's just one of those things, like, it pushes everything forward, but it does it at the expense of, like, massive reveals, but each reveal just gets more and more insignificant as it goes along because they use it so much. Like, I've got this review pulled up, and this is literally the paragraph. Let me just go for it. Mrs. Bennett can't remember anything except she can, so Mr. Bennett now knows what he is supposed to have forgotten. Nathan has secretly been working with the FBI, and Peter is invisibly in the room listening. Mohinder fools Siler before Siler fools Mohinder. Candace tricks the cops and Isaac, then tricks Mr. Bennett as well. Jessica tricks DL, except he doesn't. He really knows it's her. Then she kills the FBI agents, but Nikki warns Nathan. Hiro tricks the curator, and Ando tricks the casino security staff. Claire tricks the Haitian, but he is too smart for her and is at the Petrellis when she gets there. And of course, Linderman knows more than Nathan and is a step ahead of him. Before finally, Siler is too clever for Peter, and it jumps out of the dark to grab him. I mean, look how many times you say the word tricks in there. The twists should mean something, and they should be there to shock the audience, and that's what happens near the beginning. But it just
they should have just let the Linderman thing be a big deal, because Malcolm McDowell totally deserved just
exactly.
That. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. This was frenetic. In a different way than the last episode was, because it wasn't as focused. And I think as a follow-up to that episode, it doesn't kind of, you know what I mean? It doesn't it doesn't cut the mustard.
Yeah, exactly. So I will grade that as I'm just going to go with a straight-up C, maybe C+, because it gets a bit infuriating after a while. So yeah, and I had to watch it twice. So how about you?
I'm gonna pull a Drake and say I agree.
Oh.
Yeah, I totally agree with the C plus grade because it is very average. And like after an episode of Company Man, you might want to try to live up to that at least for 2 episodes.
Exactly.
I think it just honestly suffers from coming after the Company Man. It'd probably be like a B minus.
Yeah.
Because the reveals were great and it really was pushing the story forward, but you got surprise fatigue. You really did.
Exactly. And it seems like every other scene at the beginning is a surprise, and then it just becomes scene after scene of surprise. And so, yeah, it just gets too much.
This was the TV equivalent of an old Spice commercial. I'm on a horse. No, yes. I'm holding diamonds.
Exactly. Yes, that's a great way of putting it. Oh, man.
Oh, so out of all these crazy reveals and scenes, what was your favorite?
Again, Malcolm McDowell.
Yes.
Straight up Malcolm McDowell. He was the best thing about this episode. He was great casting, and it was a great character as well, at least here anyway, because of just the unexpectedness of him being so, like, smart. Yeah, exactly.
You think Vegas, gangster, like it's some smart dude that grew up in Jersey?
Exactly, yeah. And he's just like this English gentleman, just friggin' talking people around with his great words, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. But I also kind of, I like the Mohinder and Siler scenes. Even when Siler got over on Mohinder.
Yeah, I did like the idea that Mohinder finally got one up, but the kind of Siler getting his own back kind of felt a bit too much at that point. But, you know, I wanted him to kind of have his moment in the sun, but, you know, it's not going to happen. So, yeah.
Anyway, like, what was your favorite? Did you have a favorite line?
No, not really. I'll just go with, like, pretty much anything that McDowell says, because it was great. Actually, no, also, I'll go with the whole conversation of loneliness between Hiro and Nathan as well. That little exchange between them was so good. And it kind of showed, even though they're like the polar opposites of each other, they kind of are exactly the same at that point in the character development. So yeah,
I agree. Basically anything Mr. Linderman said, but especially you can't have any more pop pie. Like the face that he made, the whole situation was just so ridiculous. Makes me laugh every time. So trivia time.
Yes, Jessica and Micah are playing Heavenly Sword, but in the timeline it doesn't kind of make sense because it was released after or before, I can't remember.
That's PlayStation 3 is really that old? God, I'm old.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. I didn't even know it was a PlayStation 3. Yeah, I didn't even know I just read PlayStation. I thought, oh, it must be the PlayStation 2. Damn. Catalog number of Kensei's sword is CRM 114, which could
Santa Kubrick, right?
Yes, it could be Clockwork Orange for Serum 114, which was used to assist the brainwashing, and obviously that is Clockwork Orange starring our favourite Mr. Linderman, Malcolm McDowell. There's a couple of scenes repeated. Like the aerial shot of Las Vegas is from Collision. The trance-like state to normal state transition was used in Unexpected. It's the first title card to be used without the quotation marks, but I really liked how they did it with this one, the whole kind of crossword puzzle.
In Japanese? Was that like an accident or something?
No, I think there's a bit where usually they have a previously on Heroes, and it was the title was it was said by Masaoka, and it was written in Japanese. I don't know why, but yeah. Let's go through War Buddies.
War Buddies.
1 to 6. Why not?
Okay, so the first one is written by Mark Warshaw. The art is by Stephen Lejeune. Sure, why not? So those new people, and then we get another link to Hannah's website. I guess it was an update.
Yeah. I think this is like coming to the end of Hannah's part of the Heroes Evolution ARG, or at least it's building up to the end of it. I'm going to always refer to them as episodes for some reason. It's basically just setting up the overall story with Hannah making her way over to the Pentagon, and because her powers are obviously she's wireless, so she can search anything on the net. But this actual thing that she needs to find is surprisingly it's on paper, so she has to get into the Pentagon. She uses a guy, KCZ Smith, and just does whatever she needs to do to get in, which means the sexy time.
Little honeypot action.
I know, right? So yeah, it's literally just setting up the whole story and her finding the Lone Star file, which is the subtitle of War Buddies Part 1. So yeah.
My favorite thing about this one is that they're on their date and they look up at the TV and it's the nightly news with Brian Williams, but it's spelled Brain.
Brain Williams, yes. And
I don't know if that was on purpose or not.
And they're talking about the Nathan Petrelli campaign. Okay, so War Buddies number 2. Oh, well, yes. So it's just the beginning of the War Buddies saga, which is basically 5 people in a boat, and none of them are given names, just given tag names. We've got Dallas, Laredo, San Antonio, Amarillo, and Austin, and they've all got like their own specific little job to do and their own little set of skills, and they're going down the river, and the Viet Cong gets them and shoots them all, apart from Austin, who is able to save Dallas's life by healing him using a power. Ooh, so the only real thing I took from this was that Dallas was probably saving San Antonio because he shows him a bit of compassion during the comic. All the rest seem to be kind of bullying Dallas, and do
you want to talk about the reveals right now, or?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Okay, so the whole point of it, I guess it's later on revealed that Dallas is Arthur Petrelli and Austin is Daniel Linderman.
Yes.
This is so when people are like, why are we talking about war people? I'm like, oh no way, makes sense later.
And it kind of gives us insight into Linderman before we get to know him and maybe see why he is the way he is. So yeah, that's I guess the whole reason behind this saga, because it is 6 long, well, not long, but it feels long episode.
So we move over to War Buddies Part 3, which is still Unknown Soldiers is the subtitle.
Yep. And basically it's Linderman and Petrelli. They've taken a Viet Cong soldier hostage, and they are basically, Petrelli is beating the crap out of him and making Linderman heal him, and then so they can beat the crap out of him again. And 4 hours later, they get information that they need, which is basically leads them to this little village. And because their job is to find pilots who have been taken down, and they want Dallas to heal the pilots, but he can't because they're dead, and he can only bring living things back to life, apparently. But yeah.
Anyway, the behind-the-scenes thing was Ali Larter, pictures of Ali Larter and Malcolm McDowell. This one also had a ton of new people. DJ Doyle did the story. The art was by Adam Archer. This is the first time that there's art on the introductory page, and it's makes... At the point, Hannah was the most featured character in the comics, but of course, Mr. Bennett kind of takes that reign a little later.
Oh no, the only real thing I can say about this episode is I keep on want to say Austin, but Linderman's scared of getting, being looked upon as a freak, which, is a fair enough point because, you've got Arthur Petrelli just giving you evils. But this is the beginning of the kind of the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And it's obviously something that carries on throughout this whole arc of stories and carries on with Linderman as a man, as a person in general. So yeah. War Buddies 4. This is where we meet. Yes, we meet a girl who can seemingly sprout plants out ground, and they basically realize they go to explode the village, but they realize that Oku isn't the name of the village; it's the name of the girl, and their mission now is to obviously kill the one girl. And once again, it's the whole needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And, Dallas, Linderman doesn't want to kill this girl because of who's like him. But all the way, Petrelli is just telling him we have to do this because think of what will happen if we don't, we will lose the war, because she is able to regenerate, like feed the soldiers and make them stronger just because of her power. So yeah, that's
Or they could have just stole it for themselves.
exactly
Hashtag rapey. Because nobody knows how to write it without doing it.
It ends up with Petrelli shooting at the girl while Linderman is trying to stop him. Sorry. So yeah.
This one had really bad continuity errors, so bad that the guy that did it, Jason Badauer, had to like apologize. So yeah, they were kind of rushing on this, I guess.
I know, right? Because they were obviously like pushing these out whilst they were on a mid-season break or like a little break. So I think they must have released like a couple of week instead. But yeah, War Buddies 5.
Yeah, it's introduction.
Okay.
This one, the story was by Harrison Wilcox and Oliver Grigsby. The art was still done by Jason Badauer for some reason. And this one is like the conclusion, right?
Pretty much, it's the conclusion of the actual war stories, and it just ends up with Dallas Linderman trying to heal the dead Oku, but he can't because she's obviously dead, and he can only bring back to life stuff which is on the verge of death. They go back to their base, and Linderman basically tells the truth about what happened, and Petrelli just says that he's a madman, and they basically not get him discharged, but just discredits him. And at the end of it, Austin apologizes. Well, Petrelli apologizes, saying great men are willing to make a sacrifice to save the world. And then they introduce themselves to each other, and it is obviously, as we've said, Linderman and Petrelli. So yeah, I just think you've obviously got the Linderman and Petrelli reveal, but it's also the fact that Linderman starts to now from here see everything as part of a bigger picture as opposed to the small stuff, and that's obviously what he's doing in the later episodes of Heroes. There's only one little bit of trivia, which is we see obviously a firstborn of Petrelli, and it is a little baby Nathan holding an airplane toy and a winged action figure, which are obviously allusions to his flying ability.
They tried it. They tried it.
This is Call to Arms, War Buddy 6. Hannah finishes examining the Lone Star files, and basically Casey, the guy who she's stolen the credentials from, wakes up, sends out a distress signal, is all the best thing I can say, and Hannah is able to intercept it in the end and say, she's not in there, and she basically goes on the run with these files, starts to head over to Vegas, and tries to stop Nathan Petrelli from winning the election by sending out you guessed it, call to arms. And again, this is part of the story. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's weird, though? Because, I see that there's a War Buddies Part 7, but it's literally, a year later.
I think they've also got one of the Easter eggs. There's actually a high-resolution picture of that with none of the bubbles of, speech around it. It's just the picture on its own, and you can find apart and see the names. Yeah. And now we will get to listener feedback.
Yes!
This comes to us from our favourite English Idiot 101, Charlie. Yay! Always making it back just in time to join us for at least one. So, she starts off with, I like the whole idea of Company Man with just the one story and the flashbacks. It nicely introduces Thompson in the past and then present. We get more of HRG's background and then get to see Ford one last time. Yay! I like how Matt turned from helping Ted with his revenge to foiling Ted with Bennett's help. And it was nice to see Claire getting involved as well. The introduction of Ted was awesome, just how to do the company. But she also asked the question how the company are able to make her neighbours forget she's got the right line of thinking like us. Parasite is one of her favourite episodes of season 1. Everyone is sneaky. It's different, which she likes. Nathan was actually doing good for once, right until the end, and so he had to go and ruin it, she says. He helps Hiro get into the casino so he can get his sword, and then Ando proved how much of a friend he is to Hiro by coming back and saving the day. Claire had her own agenda and got away from the Haitian. Nice move by Claire. Nikki's story is over for her. It just felt shoehorned because everyone else isn't on board of it. So it looks like Ali is feeling exactly the same as we are about the Sanders, or at least Nikki. Suresh thought, in capital letters, he had one up on Sila, and Sila proved him wrong. Loved it. She loved how menacing Silo is in these episodes. He loses it somewhat in the other episode, and it actually helps that the apartment is so dark. Really getting good towards the end of the season compared to the beginning one. So yeah, she overall likes it. So yay. Now, Lilith, it's your favourite part. Okay.
No, it's your favorite part. Shameless plug, no promotion.
Okay, so if you want to email us any thoughts on the Heroes episodes that we watch, any of our actual podcast episodes, or any questions about the show, or for us as your host, you can email us primatechfiles@gmail.com. You can listen to us on Stitcher and iTunes. Just search the words Primatech Files. Make sure you download, subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. You can bookmark our libsyn. That's primatechfiles.libsyn.com. On SoundCloud, favorite the words Southgate Media Group, and you will find our podcast there. Speaking of Southgate Media Group, you can find them at southgatemediagroup.com, and on there you will be able to learn about the hosts, keep up to date with our podcast, read the weekly blogs, and you can also find them on iTunes for more popular culture podcasts or podcasts on TV. You can find us on Tumblr, primatechfiles.tumblr.com, or facebook.com/primatechfiles. We live tweet 2 episodes every Saturday. Just follow Primatech Files on Twitter and use the hashtag to join in the conversation. This week was episode 18. We have the following people who retweeted, faved, or joined in on the live tweets. There were Ivis Leon, Chow Now, Very Multi Fandom, Emily Egan, Cinzia667, Ruth J. Cassidy, English Idiot 101, of course, and Gangster 7387. You can find any of my writings at quanmagazine.com or The People's Movies.com, and you can find more of my writing at tvbinges.com for all your binge watching needs, and you can create your own binge, which we will help promote. Finally, you can find me on Twitter at Ricky J. Diaz. That's RICKYJDIAZ, or Z if you are American. Hit 'em, Lilith.
American like me. You can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire. You can find me on Tumblr, lilithfairy.tumblr.com. And please be sure to check out my blog that is dedicated to comic books and pop culture junkies alike. Little pop culture notes.blogspot.com.
Download the podcast, save the world.